Suchi Dagi Chunyen Ki Pe Sonam Ki Penshir Sangye Drupa Shou Chodan Soki Chonam La Chanchu Padu Dagni Gamsu Chi Dagi Chunyen Ki Pe Sonam Ki Dola Penshir Sangye Drupa Shou Chodan Soki Chonam La Chanchu Padu Dagni Gamsu Chi Dagi Chunyen Ki Pe Sonam Ki Dola Penshir Sangye Drupa Shou. By the way, I can't think of anything more pleasant than sitting with you incredible mixed nuts with this view and doing Dharma all day. It's like the most pleasant thing I can think of. With chocolate cake. Okay. Yeah, okay. So we were defining what's the detailed scope of Bhashika. We got to the Jodhan, which is what? Yeah, why are they called detail lists? And there were two reasons listed. One was they studied a book called The Great Ocean of the Detailed Explanation, Sochen, okay, which Stanley agreed with me is probably written by the 500 Arhats, which is why I can't find an author. And they follow that, Jesu Dharma, just like we had Rigpe Jendang, Lungi Jendang, here's Jendang. They follow that book. Or because they accept the idea that the three times are particular types of substance. That's why they're called detail lists. So I didn't talk about it last time, but I thought I went to try to find what it means to call the three times substances. And I thought you'd like to explore that for a little bit. So I'm going to take you on a little detour. You know, what does it mean to say the three times are substances, okay? So here we go. These were my attempts, okay? Does that tell you what I came up with? Let's go here anyway, okay? This is Gyalwang Zi. Say Gyalwang Zi. He's a Losang Tunle Namgyal. He's pretty recent. He was still alive in the 40s, 1940s. And he wrote a great book on Abhidharma. It's a very, very great book. And he only treats the hard parts. It's like words text. He only talks about the difficult parts. Okay, so in 2047, you can start that book. It's called the Kosha of the Lord of the Victors, Gyalwang. Okay, and it's a beautiful text. Geshes use it when they can't figure something out. He will discuss it, but it's kind of unsatisfying if you want to learn Abhidharma and you don't know Abhidharma because he doesn't teach you Abhidharma. He just talks about the difficult parts. Okay, and it's big. It's a big book. Anyway, here we go. Please read. Tu Nam.
Tu Nam kuntu yesung chir she so ki kapsu jedak mawe tu sum takbar min de kyang ze su trupa ni de pa yin la. Shi tam che ye par mawa yin chin che du sum tang. Shi ngapo nubo ze su ye pa di kelen ge so.
Yeah, Jesu Yepa Dikilingus. Okay. Dunam Kundu Yosung Chir. I guess it's the root text or some commentary. It says all the times exist. Okay. All the times exist. And this is probably why they're called Sarvastivanan, right? And those who say they all exist. Okay. She Soki Kapsu. I believe it's but it could not be. I think it is. Then let's translate. Here's the subject of the sentence, Chedamawa. Those detailists believe, they don't believe that the dusums are dakpa. Yeah, unchanging. They don't believe that, but they do believe that they say that those 3 times are substances. Substances. I mean, okay. So what's that mean? Shi Tamje Yopamawa, which is Sarvastivadin. Those who accept all the foundations is Sarvastivadin, famous group of detailists. Yopamawa Chinche, once you're in that group or further into the groups, they believe that the Tusum and all 5 Shis and all 5 foundations exist as substances which are functioning things.
All 5 foundations.
And we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Kelen Ge, they believe. They have to believe that. Now, it'd be nice to know what's the... it's Vastu Sarvastivadin. You know, what are the 5 foundations of Abhidharma? Because otherwise the footnote here's a little one-legged. You know, so I went and got that for you. And yeah, they have to believe. And this is interesting. Somebody asked Kyabje Rinpoche, Tijang Rinpoche, my teacher's teacher, who's the junior tutor of the current Dalai Lama. They asked him, what is the 5 foundations? And there's a beautiful book of his questions and answers. And one of them is from my teacher, which is kind of sweet. Yeah, I don't remember what was the question. I do remember one where he said, look, are you supposed to get one-pointed focus on the sadhana? And Teacher Rinpoche said, yes. And then my teacher said, but it's got like 200 scenes in it. He says, no, but it's one sadhana. Okay. Okay, let's read. Here's an answer to the question, what are the 5 foundations? Okay. Zuki Kapsu.
Bung Kam Keche Char Che Wei Che Kunrik Dupe Wang Duche Ne Nanwa Sukishi.
Yeah, keep going.
So Semgishi, Kor Semjungishi, Denmen Dujegishi, Dakpa Dema Chegishi, Te She Jashi Ngardu Ne Ben Ching.
Yeah, let's stop there. All shejas can be due into Shinga.
We summarized into the 5 foundations.
Yeah, good. And Jenny, the first one is Nawa Sukishi. What appears to you is the foundation called physical matter. Then there's the Tso, the main group, which means the mind, the foundation of the mind. Then there's what comes in conjunction, which is the foundation of the mental functions. Then there's the foundation of demenduchis, things which change but which are neither mental nor physical. And then there's the foundation which we call the endings, which are unproduced things which do exist. Okay, these are the shejashi. No, these are the 5 foundation categories of all existing things. Okay, and that's an Abhidharma thing. Okay, 5. And I'm going to skip the rest. Okay. He divides the people who believe that the 3 times are substances into 4, but it doesn't teach us more about what that means. So I'm just going to skip it. Okay. Here we go. Let's go back to something easy. They say that the times can be detailed into 3 substances, past, present, and future. So either you're called details because you accept that big book called the Detailed Explanation, or you're called details because you break time down into 3 details, past, present, and future, all of which are still functioning things. The past is still working, the future is still working. Okay, so they break time down into 3 details, which are still working. Okay, and I haven't seen that explanation before. 90% of the books say they're called detailists because they like the detailed explanation.
And what clarification did we just get on that by finding out about that?
What does it mean to say time is a substance?
Okay.
And we didn't get any clarification.
What's my feeling?
Okay. I was hoping you would just skip it.
It's up to you if you feel that we should know that. But some part of,
Well, we'll get to it in 2042. So.
I mean, look, he's also just glossing it, so it's not out of the question that he may cover it in beliefs. And
Let's see if he comes up with it. Let's store it. I couldn't get a fast, easy answer. I could probably dig into it. Okay. All right. Now, the third is, how do you divide Vaibhashikas up? How many Vaibhashika groups are there? Go.
Sumba lai
Tela yena.
Ngo ne kache jedat mawa han niok jedat mawa ni.
Yeah, good. Sumba de la Yena means let's divide the Vaibhashikas into groups, okay? First we had the definition of Vaibhashika, then we had the meaning of the word Vaibhashika, and now we have the different types of Vaibhashikas, okay? And you can divide them into two by essential nature. It means there may be more groups, but if you divide them into beliefs, there's really only two. And they are typified by the Kache Chiramawa. Kache nowadays means Muslim. But in the old days, it meant people from Kashmir, people from northwest India, okay, which is now Punjabis. But in those days, this is where the Muslims lived. So it came to mean Muslim. But in the Abhidharma times, it meant a person from Kashmir, which is northwest. Yeah, so I would translate it as Kashmiri detailist. And then Nyokpa. And as I remember, Nyokpa means under the sun, and it means central India, because they were under the sun. Okay, so those are the two divisions of Vaibhashika, essential divisions. There are more, but you can group them into two by beliefs. So apparently the Kashmiri and their subgroups are one kind of detailist, and the central Indian detailists are, and all their subgroups belong to another. And we're about to go into the subgroups. Okay, here we go.
When you say it refers to Muslim
Now the word Kashmiri, Kache, now if you say it in Tibet, it means a Muslim.
or not Kache Chiramawa.
Right, yeah, but in the old days, Kache meant someone from Kashmir. And by the way, north of Kashmir is Ladakh, and that was the original Tibet. Tibet spread to the east from Ladakh, so really, Tibet in the time of Xuanzang or something was Ladakh. And the oldest books of Buddhism are in Ladakh. And we've cataloged them. We cataloged 25 monasteries. And the books are very interesting. The list of books is very interesting. Okay. All right, here we go. Getsun.
Geto gi gone yena depa chog ge yete tok martsawe depa shi tangche yavar mala bel chemba ne temba mankukurwe depa dang shirne pala.
Let's stop there. Getsuki Gonayena. So if you divide them by their essential beliefs, there's only two groups. But if you divide them by all the schools that happen to pop up, of which all could be combined into two, there are 18, and this is famous. These are the 18 schools.
18 are dividing them how?
By division. Yeah, this GYES means Iowa. It just means if you want to divide them out by the different schools rather than the beliefs. Okay, dividing them by beliefs, you can summarize it into Northwesterners and Centralists.
Why did we decide those were by beliefs? Because essence implies belief.
Yeah, their beliefs are all the same.
Okay.
But if you want to get technical and geographically, there came to be 18 different schools.
The other one's
Okay.
way more geographic.
Yeah, okay. But sub-geographic. Sub-geographic, okay. Anyway, traditionally they're divided into 18. How's that? You know, chopke yute. By the way, I went and got them for you. Here, look. And then I went and listed them all. I gave you the Sanskrit. And then I do, oh, these are all notes, okay? Because I'm curious, it's famous.
Yeah, right.
By the way, this is where this mark on the back of your monk robe comes from. There are 18 patches. They are affiliation patches on the back of your robe. Like if you have a Dharma wheel, you belong to one of the 18 groups. And so that was your identification badge. Okay. We still, well, you know, nowadays people just pick the patch they like. Okay, so anyway, yeah.
Was that associated with the 18 lineages of Vinaya?
Exactly, yeah. Okay. Did you have a question?
And the set of vowels, the vowels you use are also.
I think the vowels are slightly different, yeah, which would be really confusing to get into. And thank God Allison's text doesn't go there. Okay. Okay, there are 18 groups. Tokmar, Sawe Depashi. The 18 can be grouped into 4. So there's 18, but they break into 4 main affiliations. Okay, so 4 groups, 18 sub-schools. Okay, 2 main groups broken into 4 sub-schools, broken into 18 sub-schools. Okay, Tsawe Depashi. What are the 4 root groups? Okay, there's the Tamche Yopa. By the way, each of them are going to have sub-schools that all add up to 18.
So Tokmar as in following the 18?
Yeah, first, Tokmar means first,
Okay.
let's break them into 4 groups,
Okay.
and then we'll assign the 18 to each of those groups, okay? All right. I don't know. They do have some separate beliefs, but I think it was just historically they grew up around different teachers. So most of the groups you're going to get reference to some teacher.
These are all 4 Yopamawas?
Nope, the first of the 4 is Tamche Yopamawa.
Oh, the first of the 4.
Yeah,
Yopamawa. Okay.
which means Shi Tamche Yopamawa, which means Should Tamche Zesu Yopamawa. They accept all 5 foundations exist as substances, okay? But nowadays they're just called the people who believe in everything, okay? Shi Tamche Yopamawa. But it means they believe all 5 of those categories that we just talked about are ze, are substantial, okay? Then we have the Pelchambas, which means the majority group. Okay, Pelchamba means majority group. Why they're called majority group, we'll get there. Then there's the Netembas, the followers of the elder, the elderists, okay? And then there's the Mambakurwe De, which I believe means well respected by everybody, okay? So these are the 4 groupings of the 18 schools, okay? And we're gonna see how many in each group, okay? So first is those who say all of them exist. Then there's the majority group. Then there's the elderist group. And then there's the respect group, okay?
Like found within
They exist as these 4. Okay, so Nepa.
Are those all Theravada kind of thing?
They're all Theravadan, yeah. And the Theravadins will talk about these 18 in Sri Lanka or stuff like that. You'll see the 18, yeah.
The Netembas were the older guy? Oh, I see. Right. The followers of the elder. That's very close to Theravada.
Close, yeah. So how many schools are in each of the 4 groups of schools to make 18? Okay. The first group has Dun.
Okay, there's 7.
7 in the first group, which is the, say everything, the existenters. 5 in the majority group guys. 3 in the elderist group. And then 3 in the respect group, which means 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 3. Yeah. Okay?
That says for the red sheep.
No, Shipa Lake soup.
Oh, sheep.
Oh,
right.
the
Oh, the fourth group. This lay means law. This lay means law. Okay, in the fourth group, there's 3. In the third group, there's 3. In the second group, there's 5. In the first group, there's 7, which makes for a total of 18 divisions. Okay. Let's read the next sentence.
Division. Okay. Tila yang du tu min drawa duma yu yang lupun duwa ta tarna jigedu.
Yeah, now Dila Yang, Dutsamindra, Duma Yokyang, there are many ways of explaining how these subgroups fit into the 4 groups, okay? But let's follow Vinitadeva. So this is an ancient Indian sage called Vinitadeva who wrote a book on the Vinaya, and I went and got it for you, okay? And in his opening lines, he divides up these groups, okay? So our author is saying, let's follow Vinitadeva's presentation. And then he has a poetry which is not quite Vinitadeva's poetry, but it's kind of adjusted. Okay, so here we go. And I I did A, B, C, D for the 4 groups, okay? So first he names the groups, and then he names the big group that they're part of. So he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 belong to A. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 belong to B. And then 1, 2, 3 belong to C. And then 1, 2, 3 belong to D. Okay, got it? All right, here's his poetry. Sung, which is, you want to read it?
Yeah, okay. Usum Satan Chusum De Mangte Guma Lopma Nambar Che Dang Shikum Ba Tamche Yapar Mawatan.
Let's do that much.
Yeah.
7 subgroups within the Tamche Yopamawas, the Sarvastivadan, okay? And they are Kashyapa, which is the name of a former Buddha, okay? But it could be a present teacher. Satan, which is kind of like the teacher of the earth, which we're going to get to. Chosung De, the group of the Dharma protector. Mangtum, which means very learned. Kumar, the red robed ones, Lobma, those followers. Then the splitters, okay, and then those who accept all the foundations. These are the 7 subgroups of the Sarvastivana, okay? And I went and got for you explanations of why each name. Okay, so we'll get there. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now, how about the 5 groups in the majority group?
Okay.
Please read. Sure.
Dang Kang Rip Ne Duje Dakbar Mawan Tang Jip Den De Ma Helchen De.
Yeah, stop there. Okay, so that's the second of the 4 groups, and these are 5 schools within the second group, okay, which are those who, the Ne distributes, okay, those who stay on the eastern mountain, those who stay on the western mountain, those who stay on the Himalaya snow mountain, those who say that produced things are unchanging, those who talk about going beyond the world. These 5 are subgroups of the second big group, which is the majority school. Okay, now we're expecting 3 in the third group, and we're expecting 3 in the fourth group. Here we go.
Gyalche Tselne Jikmene Tsuklak Kangchen Ne Ben Sum.
Yeah, there's the third group. Okay, three subgroups. Gyalche Tsel means Jetavan, the garden in which the Buddha taught the Dharmakara Sutra. Okay, so Prince Jeta's cell, those who used to hang out in that garden created a separate school. And then Jigme Ne, those who stay with no fear. We don't know what it is yet. And then those who used to stay in the big temple. Tsula Kang Chen. These are called the three elder groups. Okay, Net Den Su. Okay. Now the last group, the fourth group, go ahead.
Sasokridan Sungwapa Nepa
Nemabu.
Nemabube De Nam Ni Kungi Kurwa Nampasun.
Yeah, Sadori, those who stay on the mountain called the proclamation of the earth, okay? Those who are the protectors. Those who belong to Nemabu, son of Nema, okay? These are the three that belong to the fourth group, okay? Now, I went and got them because I always wanted to know them, and I thought, well, here's my chance. I should go work on it. So I really worked on it. So here we go. Go ahead. Yeah. Sarvastivadan. Group A. Yeah, it's mostly our Vinaya. The Tibetan Vinaya is mostly based on Group A. Yeah. In Tibetan? The first one is called those who say that all the foundations exist. The second of the four group is called the majority group. The third group is called the elder group. And the fourth group is called the respected group. But we're going to find out what those mean. So I went and got Vinita Deva. Here's his book. And he actually talks about those 18 in the opening lines of his book. And here they are, okay? Sharda Nutan Karune Jitan Debra Mawe De Tapa Mewe Debatan Ngatsing Dendo Pechampa. And it's not the same as our author says. He rewrote the verses. Okay? So it took me a long time to find them. Okay, but this is the original poetry. Okay? And you'll see it doesn't match up. Okay, but that's the original Vinita Deva. Okay.
Okay.
You can study it, but it works out to the same.
Okay.
But our author kind of sweetened up the verses and made them more structured them better. But it's the same information,
Okay.
in my opinion. Okay, now this is the Mahavipati, which is an interesting text in the Tengyur because it's half Tibetan, half Sanskrit. And it's a dictionary. It's an ancient dictionary written in Sanskrit and translated into Tibetan. And it's not a real dictionary, it's a list of words. Yeah, it's just a list of Buddhist words. And it was translated into Tibetan. And the order of the dictionary is most important stuff first and least important stuff last. There's no alphabetical order. Okay. So all the names of Buddhas are at the beginning and all the names of rocks and plants are at the end. And you just have to scan 20,000 entries to find the word you want. And this is an early dictionary. It's a very frustrating work. But, and Tibetans writing Sanskrit is always terribly corrupt, okay, horribly corrupt, okay. But there's enough information there to reconstruct the Sanskrit for these names, okay, which is going to be helpful. So I think in your footnote, it would be nice to put the names, and you can refer to the Mahavipati. You can say, we've confirmed them in Mahavipati, and we cleaned them up. So you can use Lokesh Chandra to confirm the correct spelling, but I'm going to give you the corrupt spelling. Okay, here we go.
In the past, we just, put them in parentheses after each of the names when they were named in Tibetan, rather than having
any way you want to do it, it's fine. Okay, so Tamje Yopamawa. Okay, now the Sanskrit is interwoven. There's one line of Tibetan, one line of Sanskrit, and it's all mess. It's a big mess, okay? So Tamche, skip the paragraph, Yopamawa, okay, is Sarvasti Vadan, Sarvas Misting, okay?
No, but why
Watch my cursor. Tam Che Yopamawa is Sarva Astivada. I cut the last. I'm sorry. Okay.
Where's the sarva?
It's in the last paragraph, and I didn't include it. Okay. Trust me. It says Sarva Astivada, but you'll have to go back and get the last paragraph. I cut it by accident. Okay. So, okay. Go to page 125. You'll see Sarva above. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now the second group, which is the Shi Tamje Yopamawa, is Mula Sarvastivada.
Okay.
Because Tibetans don't have a V. So they use B. But they also use B for B. So it's confusing, okay? So they will say Mula Sarba Astibadan, but it means Vadan, okay? Okay, got it?
They have a wa, they just forget about it.
Yeah, and in this way, you can confirm the real Sanskrit. It's all corrupt, it's all misspelled, but you can rebuild it. You can rebuild the real Sanskrit because here's a 2,000-year-old record of the real ancient names, corrupted. But it's enough information to reconstruct the real name, okay, using Lokesh Chandra, okay, who spelled them correctly. And one thing I have to say about Lokesh Chandra, I love to criticize other dictionary makers and translators, but he's good. He worked hard, and his stuff is clean. And John Campbell made sure it was input cleanly, who's a scholar that we just hired. He cleaned up this dictionary. So this high quality work in the first place, and the input was high quality, not because of us, but because of this guy who happened to be there at the time. Okay, so anyway, you can go back and reconstruct them all because you've got the outline here.
Right.
Okay, now, how about these Usum? What's that in Sanskrit? Who's going to? Yeah, Kashyapya, which is probably misspelled somehow. And what's these Satan, teacher of the earth? Mahishasika. Okay. Who's this Dharma protector? Dharma Gupta. Okay. Who's Mangtutupa? Well learned. Oh, they are Bahu Shrutiya. Bahu means big, right? Big learners. Okay. Who's these red robed ones? Shatya. That's a messed up one. I can't even guess. Okay. Sorry? It's a Gdamka in ancient times. Yeah. There are ancient forms of Dharma, which is 2 M's. Yeah. But I wouldn't go there. I would leave it with 1 M. But it is a Dhamka in ancient times. Like Bodhisattva is always spelled with 1 T in the Tengur. But 2 T's is common nowadays. So that's a different thing.
We drop the nominative visarga.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Then number Chete Mawede, the group which divides things, is somehow Bidaja Vadina. Okay, Vadina means Mawa. Then the Papa Kunki Kurwede is the Arya Samatiya. Then the Sardro Rikide is the Kurukulakas. And the protection group is the Avantika. And the Nema Pupas is the Vatsiputriyas, which we already knew. And then the majority group is the Mahasangam. Okay, then you skip a line. Okay, and the Eastern Mountainers is the Purva Shila, and the Western Mountainers is the Aparta Shilas, and the Snow Mountainers is the Hemavat, which is Himalaya, right? And then the guys who talk about going beyond this world.
It's 2 E's, that's a long I.
Which one?
2 E's is a long I?
2 E's is an AI.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they are the Lokotaravahinas. And then the Tapa Mawe Day, which is kind of like talk about projections or something. Prajñapti Vadana. Then the elders is easy. This is the Arya Stavuros. And then the people who stay in the big temple is, Vihara is temple, right? Vasana means to stay. The Mahavihara Vasanas. And then those who stay in Prince Jeta's garden are the Jetavanis. And those who are free of fear are the Abhaya Gupta, Abhaya Giri Vasana. Okay? Okay? And that's it. There you go. No problem.
Did you check to see if we covered them? I mean, I will look.
They're all there, but even if you can't, they'll be in. But those guide you to the correct.
Okay.
If you have a choice in Lokas Chandra, use those corruptions as a guide for which Sanskrit to choose.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can refer the reader to the Mahavipadi, which proves you did your homework. Yeah, these are not me. These are the ancient dictionary. Okay.
Should I, in that footnote, do I say that I use Lokesh Chandra to correct from the Mahavipadi?
I would say, yeah, and he's good. Then I like this footnote. It took me a long time from Jetson Kappa about the 4 languages of ancient India. Okay. And I forget why it was important here. This section, 4 languages of India, will be mentioned. And here's a footnote I already wrote. And it's a discussion of the 4 languages of ancient India. Sanskrit is only one. There were 3 other ones, okay? And this is a nice footnote that took me a long time to describe the 4 languages of ancient India. Many Tibetan authors say the 4 languages of ancient Tibet. Only Tsongkhapa explains them. Ancient India, okay? It's coming later. Okay. Now here's another footnote. Yay! Let's read this one. And the reason being, this is a really definitive discussion of the 18, and I think it helps you with the names. Okay, and it's long. And I thought, what the heck, we might as well do a good job on it, okay? So this is going to be a whole class probably. But I think it's worth it. And it could be a long footnote or it could be an appendix, okay? Because I've always wanted to know the 18. Everybody talks about the 18. Nobody knows what they are. So let's knock it out. And then you guys can use it later in your book. When they mention the 18, you can quote Ben's book. Okay, so here we go. This is by Sarah Jetson, which is Kedu Tembatargi's teacher. It's your book's teacher from Sarah J. And it's the only case in Buddhism when the student outdid the teacher. The student was from Sarah May. And this teacher was from Sarah J. It's very famous. Like, we will say the student outdid the teacher, and the Sarah J people will say that student messed up the teacher. Okay, here we go. Sumba.
Simbala Deva Deva Chugya Ji Dar Chung Tsu Kan Gadu Zetsu Moso.
Yeah, oops. I'm gonna fix this. Okay. So, Depa misspelled, okay. How was it that there came to be 18 groups? Jungtsu, how was it? And then Kandun Zetsu, how did they incorporate the teachings of the Buddhas, okay? How do we group them, okay? Tambala.
Zawe Deva Shir Gi Tsu Dedak Sosoye Ke Chuso.
So first, let's divide the 18 into 4 major groups. Okay, this is K, right? Which means to divide. And then let's talk about their differences. What makes them different from each other? Okay, 4 main groups. Here we go.
Damboni Sangye Shel Shung Be Du Su Shi Tamche Yoba Mawe Dewa Chikpu Yobala.
Translate it. See if you can translate it. Shel Shupa is an idiom.
In the time when the
Yeah.
Buddha spoke the teachings, or
It means when his face was sitting here.
when his face was sitting here.
It means in the time of the Buddha. Okay. Shel Shupa is an idiom that means when his shining face was in this world. Okay. In the time when the Buddha was here with us, there was Chikpu. Only one of the four groups existed. This is interesting. So historically, there are 18 groups. They're divided into 4 groups, but only one of those 4 existed during the time of the Buddha.
And there's the
Okay.
Sarvastiva.
Yeah. Okay. So, according to this author, and by the way, I looked a lot, and I think this is the best discussion I've seen of these points. Okay. So, when the Buddha was around, there was only Chikpa. We had that earlier, right? Yesterday. There was only the Shitamche Yopamawa, Mula Sarvastivadin, those who say all the 5 foundations exist, Zesu, as substances. And what that means exactly, I don't know. And then, okay, then, Gendin Pelchen, please read.
Gendin Pelchen Dewa,
Yeah,
Netembe Dewa,
Depa. This should be Depa, yeah.
Mangukurwe Dewa Shir Gyehan Yinte.
Yeah, then it's split into 4. Okay, it's split into 4. Gyepa into 4, Shi, and we got these other 3 groups. Okay, all right. So it's split. The one appears to have split into 4 if you count the one as part of it hung around as a separate school. Okay, Gendin Pelchen is like the majority group Sangha, and then the elder group Sangha. And then I think this means the respected group Sangha. We got 4 major groups. What is that? Let me think about. Oh, I know what this was. I think this is probably. I'm taking a bet on this. Unkyung. Okay. Okay. Be nice to have a better carving, right? However, read it, please.
Unkyang le tanche yoba mawa derak ni shidang dawa yinte lekpar jawe ke du danye chobe chiro she soksumbe chiro.
I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna say Dedak maybe. Okay.
Whoa.
Of these 4, okay, of these guys, the Tamje Yopamawa, Dagni, the first group who say that all of them exist, the 5 foundations, right? They are like the foundation for all of them, okay? Legpa Jawe K means what?
Sanskrit.
Yeah, Legpa means Sam. Jarwa is Kurta, so San Kurta. And whenever you have an S, whenever you have an M that meets a K, you have to put an S between. Sanskrit. Okay, so the well-composed language, Jebechir, because they use Sanskrit, so they must be considered the foundation of the 4.
Wow.
Because they like Sanskrit. They like to use Sanskrit, okay?
Moving in on those 4 languages.
Yeah, this is why I put the 4 languages thing. Okay, so oftentimes in Tibetan scripture, Sanskrit is referred to as one of the 4 great languages of ancient India. Okay, so here it's kind of putting up the Sarvastivadins by saying they used Sanskrit. Okay. Okay, here we go.
Nibala shi vale. Oops. Oh, sorry.
Keep going.
Okay. Oh, for the love of God. Okay. Dangbogi de ba shinam gepe shi yin ba dang du sum ze yud mawe na shi tamche yuvar mawa she jala.
Good. So he's going to cover the first of the four groups, which is A. So I've retained the A from the last explanation. Okay, I still gonna remember the Vidnita Devas verses were A, B, C, D, and then they had the numbers. I'm gonna keep those structure. Okay. So A is Sarvastivadin. Okay. Depa Shenam Gepe Shi Yinpa. It is the foundation from which all the other groups split off. Okay, and because they say that all three times exist as substances, we call them the guys who talk about all the foundations. So this author is saying the Vastis, Mula Sarvastiva, the Mula, the foundation has two meanings. One, they're the foundation from which all the other three groups broke off from, and they say the times are substances, and therefore they are talking about foundations. Okay.
Because somehow
Those are
time is somehow.
Yeah, and it's one of the sheaths. The three times are one of the sheaths of the five that we had before.
Oh,
Okay, got it?
kind of.
You thought you were done with complicated schools.
Not at all.
I thought you were done with complicated. And you know, we could skip all this, but I've always wondered about it. And if you meet up with some Theravada guys, you better know this stuff. And they might enjoy hearing what the Tibetans have to say about it. Okay. Read this.
I'm sorry, we're on Kengyu, right?
Yeah, Kengyu.
Okay, Kengyu ni gyal poi rik le rab tu chung wa la la gufe chok tu lung temba.
Now, this is interesting. And this is why I was kind of fascinated by this subject. Their Kembugyu,
The lineage of masters.
the lineage of their abbots, okay, vow givers, right? The ancient meaning of Kimbo. What's that?
Kengyu.
Yeah, it is. The lineage of their... Oh, it is misspelled. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, you want to make it a verb? The lineaging of their abbots. Their abbots, the leaders of their group, come from among the different castes. They are drawn from the Gyalpo. Yeah, they are royal castes. Okay, Kshatriya, yeah, I think, yeah. So that's a pattern that's going to be talked about, you know. And you're starting to see a very weird overlap of the caste system and the pecking order of the Abhidharma schools. Okay, the originals were all drawn from royalty. Okay, so you can guess what's coming. Okay, Kengyu Gyalpo Raptuchua, the lineage of ordination. It's the kings became monks. Okay, and they were Lungtemba. The Buddha foretold that they would respect their vows especially. So he's kind of putting up the Sarvastivadins of the four groups, of the four big groups, you know. These are guys, they were drawn from royalty. Kings and princes became monks. And they kept their vows well. You know, they had a high respect for their vows. Okay, go ahead.
Seja Chenzin Yi Kengyu Namjar Nam Tenyer Nga Menche Gui Yenche Chechin Datak Padma Korlo Rinpoche Jipar Jivar Shela Sotargi Do Lek Jargi Kedu Dumba Jinlen Lakpa Kende Jepa Nuplak Nyel Tu Che Dang Guwar Du Chena Tupar She Ching.
Yeah, okay, good. I don't know all this sentence. I think I got lazy in between here. They count their abbots as being descended from the Se, whose name was Trachanzen, which is Rahula. Who is that? Buddha's son. So these guys, the first group, they say we're descended from Rahula directly. We come, our lineage, our abbot lineage, our vow giver lineage descends directly from Rahula, the Buddha's son. Okay, say here means high. Doesn't mean prince here. It just means the high son. Okay. Say again.
Still the first group, right?
Yeah, we're still describing the first group because later he's going to divide it into 7. You see, so we trace our lineage of vow givers back to Rahula, the son of the Buddha. Our Namjar has. Okay, Namjar means this outer robe with all the patches on it. Our patched outer robe has 25 or less lines in one direction and 9 or more lines in the other direction. Okay, so how many little patches do you have on your robe? Okay, these are called namchen, the little flags on the robe. So in one direction there's 25 or less, and in the other direction there's 9 or more. Okay, and our Chai thought, we believe, we accept that as the patch on the back, you should use one of 3 signs.
The patch on the back is
Yeah, the lotus, the wheel, or the jewel, wish-giving jewel. Jewel means you should draw. Okay, you should have a drawing. As your monk group badge, Chaitak, monk group badge, you should have a lotus, a wheel, or a jewel. Okay, we say.
The first basketball team?
Yeah, the first basketball team. And here's the kandun we had earlier today. In Seiji's text. Oh, D means to draw. Okay. We have it with drawing mandalas, right? And you should dumba. Recite. When you recite the Vinaya Sutra, you gosh darn better do it in Lekjake. Yeah, we don't recite it in Prakrit. We just recite it in Sanskrit, the high language of the 4. Okay, so they're like, these are really the, what do you call it, the princesses of the different lineage, okay? And they did become the one which was most assertive and the one which is most, that's the one which got to Tibet. I don't know China, but I suspect it's these also, okay? Chinla Lapa Kende Chepa. When they give a blessing, they can you look that up? BKAN? I think it's palm up. I don't know. So maybe there's different ways to bless things, and they always do it this way. I don't know. Okay, you can look it up. Yeah. So when they bless something, the robes they're like that instead of like that. Okay. And new plug. I don't know what this means. New plug.
You wash half of the
I don't know. I have to. New plug means more than one. I don't remember. I gotta check it, okay? I'll check this. Noop means evening.
Yeah, sunset.
Okay. And Nyal means to sleep. True is this distance. Che means half. Che dangu means 8.5, which is 1/2 equals 9. Okay? And then part of Che means interrupted by.
It's like how long you sleep at night, or they sleep for a certain amount of the night, or
That's not, sleep.
It might be the amount of hours you have to be separated from your robe to be separated from your robe or something like that. I don't know. Okay. And next time, after I figure that out, we'll talk about the 7 groups within them. Okay? Yeah. Okay. But I thought you would enjoy hearing the differences between the groups, like what language do they use to recite, which famous person are they descended from, how many patches do they have in their robes, what sign did they use for their affiliation, okay, and stuff like that. And that is what differentiates the different groups of Sarvastivadins, for example.
This is our good job. Let's do it now. When are we going to do it?
It's more than you ever wanted to know. But it's a big interest to Theravadan people, so it's probably good to know it, yeah. Okay. And I've never seen anyone else explain it as well as Sarah Jetson. Okay. 5, 8, 19. Okay.
Sashi
Kuki Jushi Meton Tram Rira Mingshi Nyende Kempani Sangye Shindu Mingte Uwangi Dokun Abda Shina Chupasho Inam Guru Radha Mandala Kanyaya Tayami Di Keokun Sanam Yeshe Sozo Shing Sanam Yeshe Nechuhe Tabakuni Tabasho Shmogri Shtogri. Thank you. Wow, it's a beautiful day. Beautiful subject. There's still some beautiful chocolate cake up here. Okay,